Awesome. Welcome back to Teddy Talks. We're here with Joseph.
Yes,
Joseph,
sir.
tell us about who you are
Yeah.
and what company you're with.
So, Joe Resabala, I've been in the renewable space since 2012, mainly residential over the last 5 years, more on the commercial side. And who I'm with right now is called SunStripe. We're a technical consulting firm where we can take a project from feasibility or pre-NTP, which is what we call, basically to make sure that the project's viable, all the way through to what we call NTP, or at the end, if you will.
Awesome. So let's throw some jargon out there. In solar industry, in every industry, there's always jargon, right?
Yeah.
And so NTP is notice to proceed.
Correct.
That means you get a permission from the utility or the power company or whomever has that authority, AHJ, right?
Correct.
Authority having jurisdiction,
Correct,
another one of those fun words. But yeah, so tell us what projects SunStripes has right now, which ones you're looking forward to, if you can give us that information.
So the ones that we can talk about is currently we're working with Georgia Power. We're helping them on their 700 megawatt opportunity that they're doing all battery.
700 megawatt. That's massive.
Yeah, we're pretty stoked to get that started. So that'll be a 2 to 3 year process for us with them. But our goal is to be well over 4 gigs in the next 2 years. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
How new is SunStripe? When did it start? Like, how long have you been with them?
Absolutely.
Kind of tell us a little bit of the history.
Yeah, so SunStripe actually started back in February. They a separate company that they owned was acquired, and then they started SunStripe in February.
Perfect.
They realized, and why they started SunStripe is because they wanted to hyper-focus on the battery side with the big, beautiful bill, not so beautiful, if you will, that's out there. A lot of companies now are hyper-focusing on the battery storage. And so they saw the niche and they wanted to go after it. And so for myself, I started a little bit over a month ago now. Yeah, on the consulting side for them, yeah.
Awesome. Well, congrats on your new hire. Now, a fun question here. Would you prefer to live somewhere where it's always cold or always warm?
Depends. I grew up in New York.
Okay.
So I had all 4 seasons, and then I lived in San Diego, and then now in Houston. So it asked me in October. And
so humidity or no humidity?
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's the key there. Awesome.
Humidity. I'll take humidity for sure, though. Yeah.
Awesome. I mean, you can always get inside, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So you've been in the industry since 2012.
Yeah.
You've seen it. A lot of people refer to it as a solar coaster, right? Up and down, right?
Yeah.
We're all used to it. We got a lot of changes coming down the pipeline from the administration.
Absolutely.
And our own industry keeps evolving.
Correct.
How has your experience been in through that? Like, what is one key takeaway that you've noticed?
Relationships and pivoting. It's everything. The biggest thing with the pivot, you don't really know when and how to pivot, and so I think that's where you hyper-focus on relationships, because there's things that you're going to miss and vice versa, and as long as you are all connected, you can't know everything. So with those connections, it allows you to get a little bit closer and to pivot either quicker or slower depending on where you're at.
Yeah, so I've noticed not only in this industry, but in other ones, and even in my own life, like relationships matter. Never burn a bridge, never leave a bad argument unresolved or whatever it may be, right? It's like,
absolutely. If
you can go on, like I always tell my younger self, if I could go back to high school, make those relationships stronger.
100%.
So that's impressive, especially in this community, because we've all see people changing and shifting and pivoting, like you said.
Correct.
It's impressive.
Yeah.
If you could change one thing about the solar industry, what would that look like?
Well, I guess I'll start with the residential and then commercial because it's 2 different beasts. I think for residential, it would have been better to understand it, when it was newer, meaning understanding how a project was priced and how to have a longevity play, which I think we are all learning, right? It's hindsight, right? That's probably the biggest thing that I would change on the residential side, is really get to a point where you're selling for the longevity play, now for the right now. And I'm not saying it's like that, but it can be.
Yeah.
I've seen it. On the commercial side, on the other hand, I've seen a lot more collaboration. So the only thing that I would add to the commercial side is really just having a little bit more financial avenues that people can go through, especially as new companies versus long established ones. So that's probably the two things that I would either change or add.
Awesome. Now, how is it working with states or energy companies or power companies on those big commercial projects?
Utilities right now, it's been a little slower as far as getting your projects from permit submission to approval. They are slowed down, but as far as East Coast versus West Coast, the East Coast has definitely, from our experience, been a little bit more proactive in working with us versus the West Coast, if I'm being frank.
Do you find it easier to work with smaller utility companies or larger ones?
It depends on the program and depends on the portfolio. Some can be easier because they've already worked with the client over years, where the new ones, they're hyper-focused, and so they're consistently communicating, so it just depends on the portfolio and the project.
Awesome. What do you see as the biggest hurdle in the next few months for yourself or SunStripe or the industry in general? Speed
to install, speed to project submission is really everything right now. That's everybody's biggest hurdle. I think the next hurdle beyond December and coming into the new year is how do people pivot to the battery space? Yeah. And quite frankly, is how are they going to be able to adjust those pro formas, knowing that you just come from solar, is how do you implement battery and become an expert in it? Because not a lot of people are an expert in the battery space. It's still new. Yeah, it's definitely more than just one solution, and I think we're getting more and more notice of, hey, we have to have all aspects of power. 100%. Especially when you're talking to utility or grid scale. Oh yeah, so, wind, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, solar is a very small part. Mm-hmm. Well, Joseph, thank you for coming, sitting on my couch, and being on Teddy Talks. Thank you for having me. Yeah, we appreciate it. And guys, stay tuned. We're still here at RE Plus, just having some fun. Come check us out. And booth V10131, and we're going to give some stuff away. Let's spin the wheel and see what we can get. So stay tuned for more. Thanks, Joseph. Guys.
I hope you liked that last video. And if you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe right here at this channel to see all the amazing updates coming from Teddy Talks. Now, we're powered by AP Systems, and you'll see a lot more coming from us. Hope to see you soon.